Mourning is a very deep and personal experience, very unique to each and every person. When each and every person has lost something, when each person has lost someone, something, or you have just gone through a particular loss in life, you will be very much overwhelmed by the sense of loss and grief, which brings out, or rather people refer to you as someone who is mourning. When I was trying to figure out and think about myself, and I asked myself, is it possible to recover from mourning? Is it possible to heal from loss? Is it possible to heal from loss and grief of a loved one? Healing from loss is possible, and also grieving for some short time or long time is possible. I think what will always determine is how you give yourself time to mourn the loss of your loved one and how patient you are with yourself. It is okay to cry. I found myself most of the time just crying. It's not that I don't know why I'm crying, but you just find yourself crying. I came across something that was written by someone that grief is the price of love that we pay just because you loved someone so dearly. And I'll tell you, I think from my experience, losing a parent is something that is beyond explanation, and particularly a mother. This is someone who saw you grow inside her womb. This is someone who brought you on earth. This is someone who gave it all for you. This is someone, even if when you were sick and she could be told to give a portion of her breath to you, she would have done it. So one thing that I've come to realize, it's okay, just be patient with yourself, give yourself time. Losing a spouse is a loss, but one thing also I've come to realize, losing a parent is bigger loss. I think it's bigger. For me, if I'm told to compare, I'm not saying you, that's me. Losing a parent for me is a bigger loss than losing a spouse. I have been there, so I'm speaking from experience. So, because here you've lost DNA, you've lost an attachment, you've lost something that is irreplaceable. You can lose a spouse and you remarry, yeah. But if you lose a parent, there is no day you will ever get another parent. So, looking at the stages of loss and grief, one is the denial stage, which is a very bad stage. So the denial stage for me, it happened this way. My mother was dead. We had already placed her in the morgue, and because of getting used to go to the hospital, there was this particular day, one of our partners had come from New York. One of our partners from Global Fund for Widows was around, and she was coming to do something. It was an impromptu visit, and she asked me if I could just pass by the office and we meet briefly. She knew what I was going through, but she didn't want to engage me so much. So it's just going to the hospital and receiving that hug. She had brought me some chocolates, and one thing that happened to me, as I was going to the office, because of the routine of going to the hospital. So you know what happened? Because of denial and thinking that my mother is still in the hospital, maybe huyo badala ya kukuja ofisi directly, bypass directly to KU hospital, I didn't go to the morgue. I went directly to the parking at the hospital. Got out of the car, immediately I parked. As usual, I took my sweater, because I used to go upstairs to the room she was in with my sweater. And wait a minute, I get there and I meet the soldiers. And then there is this one soldier who was a very good friend of ours. Now he had become a family friend. And he asked me, Diana, nilisikia aki pole sana. This time, again, my mind woke up. I'm like, hey, we lost mom. So I go back, and instead now of coming back through Thika Road, naogopa na sijui hiyo njia ya Kahawa West vizuri because nimechanganyikiwa, and Now that nimechanganyikiwa, I decided wacha nifuate. Mimi nikashika kaende, I came through sijui wapi, nikajikuta sijui what drive. Nilikuja kutokea Garden City. Ask me how I drove. I totally can't remember. There are 5 grief stages, and the denial stage is the worst. For me, that one has been the worst stage. The stage where, because you've been used to see your mother around, you've been used to see these relative of yours around, like going to the field and coming back, or I go out to the office and I come back and going to the bedroom, I'm like, hey, she's not here. It's not easy. Going home, and then as you enter our Ushago compound, we don't have a big land, so the first point, that gate, the entrance to my dad's brother's compound, the part that the family has set up as a gravesite, is what you meet first. I rarely go to say hi to my dad's brother unless need be, and if I have to go, I have to use the other route because something just reminds me. So I go home directly to our compound, and it makes no sense. It makes no sense. To an extent, I think you even start feeling like you don't even want to go outside at night. It's okay. It's because you're just traumatized of something. So looking into the 5 stages, we are not going to look into all of them. So I'm just going to do a mention today. We have the denial stage, the anger stage. And I said sometimes anger and denial, one of them can start. For me, the anger stage came a long time ago. Like when I was told that I was about to lose mom, I was the first person to receive the news, and it was so painful. It was so painful, very painful. And I know now is when I know that I started grieving way kitambo, even before we lost mom, especially after going through psychosocial support, because we have been trying to get psychosocial support for ourselves. And personally, I thought that I was strong, but instead of being strong, I got tantrums that I was throwing to everyone. And people would think, hey, this is not the person we know, hey, she has changed, or she has, no. I came to realize it's the stages of grief. You can grieve before you lose a person, and you can grieve when you have lost, and you can grieve after. So for me, I grieved so much before loss, so much. I remember there was a time I could go to my bedroom and literally cry. I got insomnia. I could not sleep. People could see me online, and people were like, hey, unaamkanga mapema. So I keep talking about anger. So denial stage is 1, anger stage is 2, but I've told you either can start, and I was giving myself as an example. I said I am going to use myself as a practical example in all this about loss and grief. Then the other one is the beginning stage. We are going to talk about the beginning stage where unasema ai hangekufa ingekuwa nani. I thought about it the other day, and I was like, then if it was not my mom, I'm sorry to say this, but it is the truth. I asked myself this question. Kama si mama yangu, nilikuwa nataka Mungu achukue nani? It's so painful. The other one could be depression. Thank God, because by all means I've avoided. I've really tried to avoid, and I'm praying for myself, I'm praying for my children, I'm praying for every family member, so that we don't get ourselves into the depression stage. Then finally is the acceptance stage. The research that I've done, and also up from my class one, the acceptance stage is so difficult to reach, but it is also very easy to reach if you give yourself time and you're patient with yourself.